I came across this video of a 2004 Competition Orange Terminator Cobra, one of 72 convertibles made in this color, and the video was of a guy who said he was going to start a restoration on this car. Somebody had bought the car and they were going to have the shop restore the car. You can see that the bumpers are really faded. We've talked about how Competition Orange fades really bad, especially on the bumpers. You can see the stock hood sitting over there. And as the mechanic walks around the car and starts working on it, you can see that it's actually in pretty terrible shape. This is the worst shaped Competition Orange Cobra I've ever seen in my life, and one of the worst Terminators ever. Look how filthy the interior is on this car. The car had 140,000 miles on it, like 146 or something, and those were really hard miles. You can see the parts in the trunk. The differential was leaking and just caked on with sludge from all the oil dripping on it for a long time. The exhaust is scraped there. You can see here's another shot of the differential, of how gunked up and gross it was, and how this car basically didn't have much maintenance at all. In the video, he gets really violent with it. He starts yanking the harness off very violently, and then he goes into the strut towers in the wheel well and he just starts stabbing through it with a screwdriver. And he was pretty upset. He's cussing a lot and mad about how terrible shape the car was. But the truth was, this car was pretty far gone. I wouldn't think that anybody would do this to a 1 of 72 Comp Orange car. He's ripping off the expansion tank here and just really being violent with it, and trying to pull the engine out. The battery tray was getting in the way, so he reached in there and just totally yanked it out and busted it in half. It was just real hard to see somebody treating a Cobra like this. I couldn't believe it. Here's the strut tower from the inside. Once the engine's out, he just starts stabbing through it with a screwdriver. Just really nasty. So he got the T56 out, cut the exhaust off, pulled the engine out. He was talking about how the engine had the good cylinder heads on it, the DB casting cylinder heads. So you know that there's still good parts on it. Said the rear main was leaking like crazy. So he was getting very violent with this Cobra, but what I didn't know until later is that I read the description and he said that it started out as a restoration project, but the car was so far gone that they decided to scrap it and use it as a parts car. That's really hard to imagine. I know cars like this, even though they're very rare and very valuable, they still have to consider the total end price of what it's going to cost to fix this car. I don't know whether I agree with completely scrapping the car over this. It's still very rare. It is high mileage though. Very difficult choice. There's lots of good parts on it. I can see why the financial decision would be to just part it out and get your money back, but really difficult to see a 1 of 72 car like this. Once the car's gone, it'll be gone forever. And you hear about stories where people find old Mopars, like an old 68 Charger that's been pushed off of a cliff and left for dead and rolled over. And people now are still going out and getting those kinds of cars and restoring them, no matter how bad they are, because now they're worth restoring. I don't know if the Terminators will ever get to that point, but it seems like they will with how collectible and rare they are, especially a car like this. Some people will look back in history and see this car and say, holy cow, that was worth saving. We should have saved that car. Anyway, well, thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned for more of these stories as they keep coming out. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already on here with us. And thanks for watching.